They say kindness costs nothing, but sometimes it can buy you everything. In a quiet corner of the world lived a young boy named Aaron, a dreamer with a heart too big for his little pocket. Every morning, he watched other children rush into classrooms while he sat under a tree outside his books old. But his hopes new. His parents worked from dawn to dusk, yet couldn't afford the small fee that stood between him and his dreams. One day, Aaron gathered his courage, walked into the principal's office and said, "Sir, I want to learn, but I have no money." The principal smiled and said, "If you can't pay with money, pay with kindness. Help others, learn with your heart." That day, Aaron's journey began not as a student with fees, but as a student with faith. He cleaned classrooms, carried water for teachers, helped smaller kids read their letters. At first, some laughed, but soon they began to admire him not for what he had, but for what he gave. One afternoon, a man in a suit visited the school. He was a government officer, observing quietly from afar. He saw Aaron sweeping the playground, his small hands working with big purpose. "Why aren't you in class, son?" he asked. Aaron replied, "Because kindness is my fee, sir. I study with my heart, not my wallet." The man paused, deeply moved. That evening, he spoke to the principal, and by morning, Aaron's education was fully paid for. From that day on, Aaron studied harder than ever. He knew this was more than a gift, it was a responsibility. Years passed. His kindness turned into wisdom, and his struggle became his strength. One day, a man stepped through the same school gates, not as a student this time, but as a teacher. In a corner of the courtyard, the old principal sat under a tree, smiling proudly. Aaron bowed and said, "Sir, you taught me that kindness is the greatest fee a student can ever pay." The principal whispered, "And you taught me that true wealth lies not in gold, but in good hearts." As the sun set behind the old school, Aaron watched children laugh the same laughter he once longed to join. Kindness doesn't need wealth. It only needs a willing heart. And sometimes the smallest acts of kindness become the biggest steps toward our dreams. Aaron's story reminds us education can be taught in classrooms, but humanity is learned in hearts. Some fees are paid in money, others are paid in kindness. If this story touched you, share it, because kindness, when shared, only grows.